I'm Tyler Yaremchuk, and welcome into the week that was here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. It's brought to you by our friends at Bet365, where you can sign up today and use the promo code DAILY365 to get in on a huge range of markets. July 1 was a record-setting day in the NHL. Since then, we have had some other pretty interesting free agent signings go down. Let's go out to the Stanley Cup champions. The Florida Panthers made a couple of moves. First off, they're going long-term with Anton Lundell. He agreed to terms on a 6-year deal worth $5 million per year against the cap. The 22-year-old center played a pivotal role in their run to their first ever Stanley Cup. He gets rewarded with $30 million guaranteed. On the blue line, the Panthers lost Brandon Montour. They lost Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They brought in a piece to try help replace those minutes. Nate Schmidt, who spent the last number of seasons with the Winnipeg Jets before getting bought out, he agreed to terms on a 1-year deal worth $800,000. Some bargain bin shopping from Bill Zito out in Florida. The Panthers, they did lose another piece off their Stanley Cup roster, as Vladimir Tarasenko is going to the Detroit Red Wings, reuniting with Patrick Kane, who he was a teammate of for a couple of months back with the New York Rangers. But Steve Yzerman and Tarasenko's camp agreed to terms on a 2-year deal worth $4.75 million. A couple other quick ones. RFA Shane Pinto and the Ottawa Senators, they found common ground on a 2-year deal worth $3.75 million per year. And Cam Atkinson, after getting bought out by the Flyers, he is going to Tampa Bay. The 35-year-old signed a 1-year $900,000 deal. Outside of free agency, we got a big trade towards the end of last week. On Friday, the Edmonton Oilers sent forward Ryan McLeod and prospect Tyler Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres, and the return is what had people surprised. 2022 9th overall pick Matt Savoy was the piece going back to Edmonton. An interesting move on either side here. Buffalo wanted some experience up front, and they get that in Ryan McLeod. He's only 24, but he's played 219 regular season games over 4 years for the Oilers, a career high of 12 goals. He comes in with 1 more year on a deal at $2.1 million. The frustration for McLeod from an Oilers perspective was definitely around his playoff production. He had just 7 goals in 56 career playoff games for the Oilers and was a healthy scratch at points in their last run to the Cup final. The flip side, it's exciting for the Oilers. Matt Savoy, not only is he a former top 10 pick, but he is also an Edmonton product, and he just had an unbelievable season in the WHL, averaging over 2 points per game in a season that was split between the Wenatchee Wild and the Moose Jaw Warriors. In a brief 6-game American Hockey League stint, he even put up 5 points. So the expectation here is that Savoy will go to Edmonton's farm team in the Bakersfield Condors, but he could be an impactful piece sooner rather than later in a powerful and potent Oilers lineup. Outside of the trade market, obviously, it's been a couple of weeks since the NHL draft, but a couple of big ELCs have come through the pipeline. The San Jose Sharks and first overall pick Macklin Celebrini agreed to terms on his entry-level contract, the standard 3-year deal. So it sounds like Celebrini is ready to take the turn pro to begin his rookie season. The Chicago Blackhawks and Artem Levshunov, their second overall pick, also signed a 3-year entry-level deal. There were a handful of other names all agreeing to their ELCs in the past couple of days. And to wrap things up, we have news this morning from Washington, where the club announced that Chris Patrick has been promoted to general manager, and senior vice president Brian McClellan, who held that title previously, will remain in his current role as president of hockey operations. So a bit of an elevation for Brian McClellan and a big promotion for Chris Patrick, who will represent the club at the NHL's GM meetings and serve as their primary point of contact while reporting to McClellan, who again oversees all aspects of the hockey ops department. That is a wrap on your week that was around the NHL. Some big news on the free agency front and a big trade, and I would suspect we get a little bit more in the next 7 days. I will talk to you next Monday for another edition of the week that was here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube, and brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.